Hey, good morning. Yes, it is. It is Sunday, September 22nd. Yeah, I got a sweatshirt on. Fall is coming in. Not too bad. I mean, it's getting up into almost 80 during the day, but in the mornings, get down in the mid 40s, and I sleep better when it's like that, too. So, what are we going to talk about today? Sundays, I usually go off the rail. On the weekends, I go off the rail. And I talk about personal development or life strategies or, you know, how to make, how to help you become happier and to do the things that you enjoy doing and stop putting them off. Well, stay tuned. We'll go into depth on this one. This should be fun for a Sunday. Not going to be long, guys. I got things to do today. All right. Be right back. Alrighty, welcome back. My name is Eric, and this is Sunday. We do a Monday through Friday show, the weekday. It's available on podcast. We do off the rail, usually on the weekends, personal development. That's available on the podcast. Just check the homepage, and you'll find it pretty quickly. Or punch us in, on Google, Northern New York Parts Podcast. So today we're going to talk about why is it we can get into what I call a Mook. And what's a Mook? A Mook is you tend to have a negative thinking towards everything. And we've all done it. We're all guilty of it. But why does that happen? And what's going on while you're in it, right? And that's a good question, because if you can figure out what the answer is, then you can change it, right? See, you can't change other people, what's going on around you. You could influence to a certain extent, but you're not going to change, right? You can't change somebody else and make them do what you want them to do. I've seen people where they try to manipulate other people and to get them to do what they want them to do and then get pissed because they don't. I'm not talking trying to figure out how to get the kids to clean their bedrooms in the morning. I'm talking about trying to manipulate coworkers. Maybe you're a boss and you're trying to manipulate employees and you're trying to get them to do what it is you want. So if we know that, if we know we can influence, which means we can cause pleasure or pain for the child. Pleasure means if you have your room cleaned, you can go do X, Y, and Z, or you get an allowance, or there's some pleasure from it, right? And if you don't do it, you're going to be grounded. There's your pain, all right? So there are some ways you can influence behaviors of other people. But that's where you have to draw the line. You have to understand that that's all you have. Now, the good thing is you have full control over yourself, which you can change, right? So once you understand that anything external is, you can influence people, influence events, etc., 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 but you cannot change or make other people do or say or be what you think they should be. So why waste your time? I mean, it's okay to, for the right reasons, But when you really want to think about it, why am I not happy today? If you're happy, then you probably have already figured this out. Or you're just on like these little mini roller coasters, okay? Because most of the time, we go through life, it's an automated process. You get up in the morning, grab your coffee, get in the car, drive to work, stay there all day at work, drive home, have dinner, watch a little TV, and go to bed. And we get into that rhythm, okay? And it becomes automated where we're not really paying attention to our surroundings. We're not really in tune with ourselves because we're in this, I hate to say trance, but it's kind of similar to that, of being hypnotized because you're constantly doing one thing. And it's kind of like that old commercial of it's time to make the donuts again. And sometimes we get into that rut of just going through life and not having any pleasure, but we're not having any pain either, right? Because pain is going to stop us from doing certain things. So in order to change how you view life and how you feel about life, is we need to get you out of that automatic, cycle. And the big thing is it's well known that people love pleasure, right? Pleasure is a lot better than not so good. And follow me with this because I'm guilty of this. All right. So let's say you get 100 things done today. And then towards the end, you have one thing that goes wrong. Where is your focus? If you're being honest, where's your focus? Is it on the 100 things you did right and got accomplished today? And even had fun doing a couple of those things? Or is it on that one thing that didn't go right? And that sets the tone for the rest of the day. Because now you're pissed, you're angry, upset, and now you start focusing on other things. And then we get that complex of it's always, or I never, if you really were in tune of your surroundings and yourself, you'd say, well, look, all right, I had 100 positive things happen today. Where do I want to focus? Do I want to focus on the one thing that didn't go according to plan? Or do I want to focus on the 100 things that did go according to plan and feel accomplishment and feel like I've done something today? See, we need to get you to focus on the 100 things that went right. Because if not, then you're going to be in a bitchy, moody state. And you start snapping at people. And they're trying to figure out what the heck is going wrong with you. So how do we get into that state of where we're happy? Well, it comes from getting out of that trance. All right? And that is getting in tune with your body and your mind. And finding things that you enjoy doing. And instead of sitting there trying to figure out, well, I have other things that I should or could or get done, they don't give you pleasure. What's the best thing to do? Now, there's certain things that, you can't just quit your job because you need the income to support you and the family, right? But you can keep going to your job and start to enjoy going to work versus making it an, automatic translate. All right, so some of you are still scratching your head, right? So what am I talking about? I love using examples, right? And my life is full of examples and content. Trust me. All right, so let's take yesterday for an example. I had a number of things I wanted to get accomplished. And what I tend to do is I focus on them and knock them out, right? And a lot of times we do this and we don't get pleasure or pain from it. There's nothing. It's like that trance. Like the one thing I love is I love getting up early in the morning. And why do I love getting up early in the morning? It's quiet, no interruptions, and it's just simply like that cup of coffee. If you are a coffee lover, now think back to when it was that you enjoyed having that morning cup of joe. Whether it's cappuccino or it's just black, or what is it about coffee that you like other than it's a stimulant that starts to wake you up, right? No, you started with a love of enjoying sitting and having a cup of coffee and really getting to taste the coffee, right? And how delicious it is. And just enjoying the peace and quiet. Pleasure. Now, the automated trance is grab your coffee, and you're chugging it as you're running out the door. You're not getting the same pleasure from it, that cup of coffee, even though the cup of coffee is still the same, right? So if you stop and you think about what's in the coffee, what is it you like about the coffee, and focus on the coffee tastes better than it has for a long time, right? Because we changed our focus. So that will set the stage for the day, right? Usually for me, mornings will set my expectations for the day, right? So I knew I had to pick up a bunch of round bales that we had done over the last couple of days so I could get them stacked, covered, and so forth. And I already had some there that needed to be stacked, and then I had to go pick up the rest that were in the field. So I tried my damnedest to lift the tarp, because it's a what is it, a 50 by 30 tarp up over the top of the round bales that were already covered, to roll it back so I could put more there and then extend the tarp, right? But I tried for almost 45 minutes and I could not, because I am getting older, physical limitations of how to do it. So that pissed me off. It's like whenever I need help, nobody's around, and always goes this way and yada yada. So now I've changed my focus from that good tasting coffee to now I'm pissed because I can't do something because of physical limitations. It could be anything for you. But that started to change my focus. My focus stopped on the coffee and now went to trying to stack these round bales and what needed to take place before I could stack the round bales. Now I could change my focus again, instead of it being a pissy moment of let's just get all the round bales up here, and then when I can get some couple guys together to help me, we'll flip the tarp up and over, and then I'll just stack them and cover them, and the job will be done. But no, that stayed with me. And I started looking at things that I had to get done. I had to, take the garbage to the dump. And my garbage wagon sat on the ground, the tongue of it, because we have our own dump on our own property. And, so I started pissing and moaning about that. Why didn't they block that up? So that you could back the tractor underneath. And now what am I going to frickin' do? Blah, blah, blah. And I stopped. And I said, you don't have help today because why? Because you didn't ask anybody for help. Claude Gallivanton, he goes to yard sales and that kind of stuff. And I knew my son was working. But I know if I sent a message to him or called Claude, that later that day they would help me with those endeavors. But for the present moment, they're not available. One's at work, and one is spending time usually with his daughter. They're doing garage sales. That's what he does on the weekends. But I caught myself and I said, let's figure this out. So I took my skid steer, and we had the pallet forks on it anyways, and the bucket off. I could lift that trailer up and hold it in place and back the tractor up, and I could manipulate and set that right onto the drawbar. It just hooks things behind your tractor. So I did. I backed my tractor in as close as I could. I used the skid steer and I lifted that trailer up, and I slid that tongue across right where it needed to be, let it down so that it was perfect alignment, set the forks down, backed it out of the way, got off, grabbed the draw pin, which holds the trailer to the tractor, dropped it perfectly, voila, problem solved. So I maneuvered that around, loaded up the garbage, and I got over to the dump, and I had a broom I took with me to sweep it out, the trailer, when it was done. And somebody hadn't swept it out the last couple of times. That somebody else has used it because we use it for wood and whatever. It's a utility trailer. So I had a bunch of crap just stuck to the bottom, so it pissed me off again. Say, I'm changing my focus. And we do this all day. And I went to push her hard with the broom. And it's one of them wide shop brooms. Well, didn't it break right off there? Well, then I threw the handle. I was pissed. If somebody would have kept this cleaned out, it wouldn't have broke. And I could have it's made my job more complicated. Now I've gone from a great tasting coffee to getting pissed because I can't move the tarp because of physical limitations and no help, to being pissed because the trailer isn't on blocks or jack or whatever to back up to it, but solving that problem with the skid steer, to having an issue with the trailer being dirty and not being cleaned out, breaking the broom. And I caught myself. I said, just stop. Stop. This is not how I want my day to go, being in a pissy mood. It's do what you can do and find things you enjoy doing. I mean, did I need to go to the dump? Yes. Did I need to get these round bales up? Yes, but it could have waited till Monday. But Monday's supposed to rain, so tomorrow. So I was able to get the utility trailer hooked behind the tractor. I got the garbage to the dump. I got the trailer cleaned out. I brought it back, and I blocked it so that when I want to use it again, I can just back up to it. And I changed gears back to the hay. So I brought up 2 loads of hay on the round bale wagon. And I just set them off to one side to be stacked when I could get the tarp up. And I was thinking, I need to get my motorcycle out at least one more time before the season's over, right? So I get it backed out. And even that seems to be an issue where my legs aren't as strong as they used to be. I used to be able to back that thing right out like it was nothing. And every year is a little harder. So I finally got it backed out of the garage after like 4 different attempts of pushing and holding the brake, taking a breather, and then pushing and then holding the brake. I get it out there and I start it. It starts right out. And the fuel gauge starts flashing at me that it's getting close to empty. So I'm like, Jesus Christ, how bad can this day go, right? And I'm focusing now. I'm focusing on the tarp didn't do what I wanted to do. I broke the handle on the utility trailer. and somebody left a bunch of crap in the bottom of a utility trailer. And now I get on the motorcycle and there's almost empty. Well, nobody else was on that motorcycle, I can tell you that much. So it was me. So I said, like, stop. Right there. I've got 2 5-gallon containers of gas. So I grabbed one of the 5-gallon containers and I put half of it in there because I know I'm going to store it for the winter here pretty quick. So I don't want it on full anyways. And I think that was my thought process. The last time I had it out, it was getting close to empty, was it's better to have it close to empty to sit for the winter than to have it full. That's my thinking. So as I'm doing that, this car pulls up and it goes real slow past me and then pulls over onto the other side of the road. And I'm like, who the hell is here today? But the pleasant surprise was it was my daughter and my granddaughter and my grandson showed up. And they came to pick pumpkins. I'm like, well, why didn't they let me know they were coming? Well, I didn't check Facebook. And she sent a message at 9 o'clock that morning. And it was noonish, 1 o'clock by then. So, I mean, I just didn't get the message. But I'm thrilled that they're here because I love spending time with them. And especially, Olivia. Olivia is just, she loves everything. She's sucking it right up. And she'll be going to school, I think, next year. But I had a chance to catch up with them. And the car I didn't recognize is because my daughter had gone out on her own and found a vehicle that she liked, pre-owned, with only 12,000 miles on it. And it was everything she wanted. And she's got good credit. And she can afford it. And so she also brought the car up because she wanted to show off her car because she's in love with her car. I know that feeling of being in love with the vehicle. And they're all excited about the pumpkin patch and my sunflower seeds that are over 10 foot tall, like plants. But they can't find it. They take the Ranger, my side-by-side, and they go over and I see they come right back. And I'm like, Because I'm gone back to, well, if you're going to go to the pumpkin patch, I'm just going to take this bike for a quick ride up and down the highway here or up and down the road and get ready to put it away. And I see him come back again and no pumpkins. So we found some nippers that I use for brush. I said, here's nippers, let's go. So they went over with the buggy, the three of them, and I drove my truck over to the pumpkin patch and watched how excited that they were about the pumpkins. And they loaded the back of that Ranger right full of pumpkins. And my daughter loves plants, and that's her out, right? When she gets overwhelmed, you'll find her in the flower bed trying to control things, right? She can control herself and the flowers to a certain extent, the weather too, but she's got a heck of a green thumb. So while we're over there, I was talking to her about the sunflower seeds, that I would have to buy some more of these seeds because they're pretty neat, how tall they got. And the only thing I'm keeping them for is just to let the birds have them for this winter, hang them up, let them pick the seeds off. And my daughter is schooling me on plants. She's saying, Dad, if you leave 3 or 4 of these standing, the animals will pick at it and the seeds will drop and they will grow again. I said, well, what if they're hybrids? She goes, sunflowers aren't hybrids. They're like a weed. You can't get rid of them because they just keep multiplying. So she said, if you leave 3 or 4 plants standing and let the seeds drop, you're going to get sunflowers every year out of this one patch of garden. So, that's great. So we get the pumpkins loaded in the back of the vehicle, And Olivia wants to go up and see the cows because she named one of the newborn calves Moo the last time she was up here, and Moo is still up there. So I told him, I said, they're up by the farmhouse up the road. And my daughter was saying, what are you doing out back with the hay? So then I was telling her where I was trying to focus on trying to get that tarp up and trying to get it. She said, well, we're here. Why don't we do it together? And I said, you sure? She said, yeah. We're right here. We can give you a hand with it. So Connor, he's turning 17. Yeah, 16 this year. He's like, Papa, what do you need? I said, I just need this pulled back and flipped. Well, didn't he jump up there like a friggin' kangaroo and go to the top of the thing? He started pulling the tarp all the way back, folding it back, and he made it look easy. And it is easy for him, but for me, I'm not the young whippersnapper that I was. Now, here I was, bitching and complaining in the morning because no one was around to help. And then all of a sudden help shows up, and they're more than willing to help me do that and give me pleasure of spending time with them and the pumpkin patch, and she wanted some sunflower, the smaller ones. Olivia did, my granddaughter. And then my other daughter, I call her because she's family. She's got two of my grandsons, and they show up. And of course, they pick out the pumpkins they want out of the back of the Ranger. Because I told Aaron, I said, whatever you don't eat or whatever you don't take, the animals are going to eat the pumpkins. But it goes back to focus. Is where did I want to focus? And by the end of the day, I was focused on, I accomplished everything on the list. I got help without even asking. I ended up stacking all that hay yesterday. I didn't get it covered yet, but I have it stacked where I don't have to move it again. See, we can change what's going on within our own self. We can't change anybody on the outside. So you can influence people from afar or near, but the only one that you can change is yourself. And you decide what you are going to focus on, all right? You can decide to focus on crap, or you can decide you're going to focus on positive stuff. And your body's going to react to that, right? The serotonin levels, all that crap. Happiness, pleasure makes your body react and let's go, where you're in a good mood versus being Mr. or Mrs. Crabapple. So just try that today. Try looking, if you love coffee in the morning or if you're a Mountain Dew freak, stop and just think about that cup of coffee and how good it tastes or how good that Mountain Dew tastes for you guys that are soda. And enjoy it. Instead of it just being a routine where you're shoving it in your mouth. And because today's Sunday, most people have Sunday off. So that's where I want you to do is change your focus to the here and now of what's going on. And if that coffee tastes great, or maybe you thought, well, I'm drinking coffee now, but I always like the cappuccino. Make yourself a cappuccino or go to the local cappuccino shop and sit down and just have that cappuccino. And how much flavor it has, how much the smell, the taste, looking at it. And that's how I want you to go throughout today, is focusing on the positive things and getting enjoyment from it. A lot of people during the week are in that trance state of just going through the motions and not feeling pleasure or pain. It's just like Groundhog Day. Find the pleasure, slow your world down internally to start enjoying the quiet drive. Maybe you like to listen to my podcast in the morning on the way to work. That might bring you enjoyment. Might piss you off too, but most times should be bringing you enjoyment. And focus on those things so it brings you out of that trance back into the here and now of finding things that you enjoy doing at work. What things challenge you? I love a challenge. I don't love mundane. Mundane just doesn't work for me. Put something in front of me and it's a challenge, I'll take it every time. And do this throughout the day. And don't let something that didn't go your way or this or that change your focus on all the positive things that you've enjoyed for the day. That's the key, is where you focus. You can choose to focus on negative things or you can choose to focus on positive. If you want to be a happy life, have a happy life, you're going to focus on the positive. You're going to train your mind and body to focus on the positive things and how to take those negatives and turn it into a positive. Trying to get the tart move back, being a negative because I couldn't physically do it, to a positive because I had help show up and they did it with ease. You see what I'm saying? So on that note, you guys enjoy your Sunday. Think positive. And we'll see you here bright and early tomorrow morning. Again, thanks so much for watching and supporting the channel. I love it, getting up in the morning and spending time with you. And that's what drives me. On that note, have a great day.